Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Well, am I on stage? I'm not just sure. But if I am, I can talk about my book. I guess that's the book is called "You Can Control Your Government," which is a sort of amazing subject when you get right down to it. How in the heck can you control your government? Well, there are areas in the world that do it rather well, believe it or not. And they do it by using what are called referendums. All heard that expression. But where it's properly put into play in the area of country or the country that you live in, it can be extremely effective. It overcomes the problems of you just simply selecting a representative and expecting him to do everything. And obviously that doesn't work. It hasn't worked. The book does describe how it's done. It's done particularly well in one country, a very complicated country that you wouldn't expect such a manner of handling governments to be so effective, and that's Switzerland. Switzerland's a strange country, very complicated. 4 languages, 4 official languages, no natural resources. It's not on the ocean. It has no reason whatever to be effective. It's surrounded by 4 big countries, but yet over time, it has affected means of decision-making, very, very democratic, called referendums. These referendums are both in local city, county, state, and countrywide manners of being done. The book describes how that happens. There are some details that have to be followed through with, obviously. And the details are described in the book fairly completely. It's only 100 and some pages long, the book, so it's not hard to read and not hard to understand or discern. But it can be implemented anywhere with a little bit of effort by some local people such as yourselves who decide to make it work. There are some states in the United States that utilize referenda fairly well. Of course, it's not or never done realistically countrywide. And even the states that do it do have some limited issues that should have been overcome to make it work better. The book describes these sorts of things. And it's a book which is simple to read. It's well put together, I might suggest. It's, as I said a minute ago, not very long. You can get it relatively easily. It's works very effectively where it's done. Yeah, government is mandated by the people, supposedly, but it's the officials that are doing it. It's your representatives that run things very visibly and very big fashion. You have virtually no control. You have no control whatever in running things that are decided by the government. The rules and laws and issues, they're decided by your representative. And you have realistically no way at all to affect what is done. The book describes how that can be implemented and enables one to control your government, as the title of the book says. So I'm hopeful that people will buy it. And yeah, it's something that you should be wanting to read about and want to try to help implement. It's a way to improve the way your country runs, and to not just make it better, but to make it fairer. Rules should be effected by the people, not by some leader that doesn't necessarily know what you want nor what should be done. And of course, there are lots of people that have apathetic views about the government. And why is that? Because they can't do anything about it. It's very understandable that it would be that way. If you would try to implement referenda, which is the way it's done in Switzerland, and they have all kinds of them, and theirs are done properly. There is an organization that makes sure the wording of the referenda is understandable and clear and fits the geography and the area that it's supposed to, and that it's clear and understandable. Once the wording is cleared up, then the person who is trying to pursue that particular referendum has to help to arrange or does arrange to get it signed as by a certain number of people to ensure that enough people want to hear that issue decided. So you go about trying to get that number. Once it's done, then it's put before the public virtually the same time of the year as you elect the representatives. And if that referendum is passed, then the law has to be implemented. And the laws that are passed by the government under the referendums are clear as to just how that's done. As I say, the book describes this quite well, and it's a book that should be read by lots of people. It will reduce the apathetic aspects of government if that be pursued, and it will greatly improve the country in the same way that Switzerland has managed in its horribly complicated area to do so. It's something that should be pursued more often. It's not as much. Certainly, representatives don't like it. They don't like it when their views, for example, happen to be refuted by a referendum. That's not the way representatives like to see things happen. So that's why it's difficult to get referenda laws passed in countries. But with the right amount of effort by enough citizens, that can be done. And the book describes it. Yes, it would be good if more people, especially young readers, encounter the book, because it's certainly young people that need the energy, that have the energy to go about the necessary means to effect this system of government. But as I said, it's done in certain areas. It's not that it's impossible. It's if with a little bit of effort by some strong citizens, the referendum laws could be implemented. And the book describes the details. There are some details that have to be followed, of course, to make it actively working. One of the things people ask about the book and about, okay, you want to know about my legal or political career that has left a lasting impact on me. Well, I've been involved in lots of local government aspects, as many of you no doubt have, over my life. I'm now 91 and I'm a bit old to pursue these things. But I've been to all the continents and done a lot of traveling. I was a lawyer as a young man. I know about how laws work and how they can sometimes not be as effective as they should be. But I also know just what efforts need to be effected. The book describes this to get a potential result, which the book tries to explore and decide. So the wording of the title is "You Can Control Your Government." And if you get an effect referendums in your state or your country, your county, your city, your community, this is described in the book how that can be done. It will greatly improve the results of a proper democracy where the rules are determined by the citizens, not by some representative who, as I said, would unfortunately not like to see referendums that might interfere with what he thinks is right. But referendums by the majority of the public is the real way of affecting democracy, not the rules decided by a representative that's elected for 4 years and can do whatever he and a few other people want to do, but you have virtually no control over. So that's what the book is about. And I would like to think it's a cheap book. It's short. Maybe it should be bought as a Christmas present for any young person, and that you think ought to be able to understand what needs to be done and would perhaps have more energy to pursue the ideas than maybe you have. But it's for anybody's use and follow up. That's the way it got done in Switzerland, and there's no reason why it can't be done here, wherever you are. And as I said, many states in the United States have pretty good referenda laws. They could be improved in many instances, and certainly doesn't have any effect whatever federally. So the difference between a prime minister and a president is not very much different. The president has individually more power, certainly, than a prime minister that does have to make sure that his party representatives agree with what he does, because if there's a rule that is passed by the parliament and that the prime minister wants and the majority of the people there don't, well, he's lost his influence. But prime ministers are very similar in their power to a president, and just as difficult to get rid of if necessary. It's something like a legacy for the future. I don't know about that. Maybe if you listen, guys, listen carefully and get the book and read it and follow it, try to follow it, try to influence others, as I am trying to with you. You could do what's necessary to improve the democracy of the community that you live in. What advice can I give to writers who wish to write about politics? Well, it's a difficult subject. It's usually a personal thing in which you wish to be elected or something, or want to show how nice you are, or how you seem to know about particular topics. But that's not what my book is about, whatever. My book is about individuals with common sense, you people, everybody that shows an interest in their community and the rules that run it. It's you people that should be potentially interested in the referendum manner of running a community, and could read the book and go from there to hopefully influence others to try to get the rules passed that allow referenda. It itself is a rule, of course. There are rules in it to make sure it works properly. You don't want just any old subject to come up and make a rule that doesn't effectively run your area. So he asked the question about what you can change about the systems. What would it be? It would be to try reading this book to see the details about how to implement the idea of referendums that can be legally in every way responsible, and the rules of a democratic area that are decided by the public, by the people. Those are the things that you should try to effectuate, and get a few people together, see whether you can persuade the majority in your area to implement referenda. That's what you have to do. You have to persuade others in a few at a time, and try to get the laws passed by persuasion. Once they're passed, it'll make a big difference in the manner of running your country or your area, and make it much more effective. Well, it is people who want to concern in political matters, but we're all concerned. Everybody is concerned about politics, and in a way, because so much of it affects us, often in ways we don't wish, and in ways that are not run well. So we're all fortunately, still within a basic democracy where we can, with effort, change rules. We're not in an autocracy where some leader tells us what to do all the time. We still have a basic democracy in which we can effect these changes. Maybe we should do them now before some leader gets to control things in ways that other countries have had happen to them. And it's not impossible that it might happen to the United States in the next 4 years if they know what's going on there. But regardless, it's something that could be effected and implemented if enough people just show the enthusiasm and energy to make it happen. So I'm hopeful that a few people will get this book and will pursue it. Well, a referendum and a plebiscite, not a lot of difference. The words referendum is something that is a law that is going to be determined by a number of people that prior to it being voted upon has received approval. And it has similar aspects to plebiscites, I guess. It's just more detailed and more effective, it covers a wider area than a simple plebiscite would. Well, politics is very encompassing. Yeah, of course. It can get not just encompassing, it can get terribly confusing. And lots of people don't bother going to vote because they know it doesn't make a difference. Their representative will do what he wants and they have no control over it. Fortunately, we still think we have a bit of control over our representatives, so most of us do take the time to vote. But we all know how little effect that it realistically has. The rules that come out of our representatives are not ones that we have had any effect upon, and are often unduly confusing and ineffective. Just send me friend request. I didn't see that question, I'm sorry. But hopefully some of you have heard enough of all this. But it's hard for an individual to explain things that you're going to keep in your mind. That's why you need to get the book. It costs maybe $3 at through what's the means through I forget the name of the organization that prints all these. You really do need to read it to fully understand it, because just listening to me, I can sound as though I semi-interesting or that semi-important, but to really grasp the full effects, it's important to get the details, which is unfortunately in the book, and it shouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be hard to obtain through Google or the Marathon or these whatever the other organizations are that effect these printings that you can get for virtually nothing. So I hope that there are a few people like you who will pursue it and persuade others to do so as well. Because it is important that we have rules and decisions that the majority of the people find helpful and are involved in deciding upon. So I guess we're at the end of my time. I hope you've been able to follow through, and we'll get the book and persuade others to follow some of the ideas there and get the book also, so that they can help implement a better form of democracy than we've got. Ours is running afoul of the means that are determining things by way of elected representatives, when it could be a great deal of our rules being determined, not all of them, because of course you still need representatives. But if they do come up with something you don't like, a referendum could be effected to change it. Nothing like that is in effect today. So I hope that this story has gotten some fairly widespread hearings, and that maybe the world will be a bit better place if you guys would follow through some of the ideas in that book. So I guess I'm near the end of my time, and I certainly thank you for taking the time to listen and may follow it up. So thank you again for your time and trouble.